wonderful topic DGQC, that is digital QA/QC in construction during this pandemic period COVID-19. As we all are aware that we all are now living with the digital era. So now I request sir to start his session.
Thank you, Darshan bhai. Is my audio clear?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And my slide should be on your
Yes,
screen, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. First of all, I acknowledge the opportunity that has been given to me. This is first time that I am talking to faculty. So far, all my education interactions has been with students only. So really appreciate this opportunity. What I am going to cover today, there are three parts. First, I would like to introduce myself. I know Darshan Bhai did really nice introduction, but to justify why you should listen to someone like me who is not a faculty, I know other speakers are all PhDs and very reputed faculty members. I am not in that league. I am a private software development company and construction guy. So why you should listen to me? For that, I have some points. Then I would like to introduce you to some of the relevant points regarding the era that we are living in, what I call the digital age. And then the main topic of our today's presentation, which is digital QA/QC in construction. So whenever you look at a new person, what are the things that you look at? That is what I have tried to introduce myself as, starting with my education. As you can see, it's in different cities. My schooling was in Burnhall School, Srinagar, Kashmir. And you can see the photograph that the school was right below Adi Shankaracharya's temple. It is very famous. My undergraduation from CEPT was in BTech construction, and that is our main college building. And then my master's was in uh, MBA with real estate finance as the core, which was in USA in University of Cincinnati. Then next thing what you look at is what has somebody done previously, what were their work experience. So again, three different cities and three different organizations. I started my career in Bombay in Panora Infrastructure, and that is where my construction technology was put to use. Then after my MBA, I worked in Creative Choice, which was in Florida, and there I became a real estate developer. And then my shift to back to India in 2007, where I worked with JHM Hotels. And these are the three people who I consider my gurus because I learned so much while working for them. Then next thing you would know is what am I doing now? What is my current occupation? So I am running three companies, all established in different times. ESACT is my project management company, which has built a lot of projects in Surat, Gujarat, and in Ahmedabad and a lot of other areas also. DGQC is the topic of our today's discussion that you will see detailed later on also. And recently I co-founded Seed Tree Collaborative. So this is what my journey is. One is construction and two are digital. Then what are my passions? I firmly believe that environmental damage can be reversed if we continue to grow trees and nurture them. I am a firm believer of education, and that is why I am on this call also. And I believe that we learn a lot when we do travel and face adventure and challenges while doing it. So that's why I am here in front of you, and I bow down to all of you with folded hands because you are all faculty members and you influence the India of tomorrow. You are the ones who are giving the shape to the thoughts of all the professionals that will be entering into our uh, workforce in the coming years. And that is a huge responsibility. And again, I thank SS Gandhi and Professor Darshan for giving me a opportunity to talk to you. So even if one little thought from today's presentation is something that you can convey to your students, I think it will be a huge validation of the time I have spent on this. Thank you again. So what I mean by we are in the digital age. Everybody knows what is happening with technology. But let me give you some really startling numbers. Something you may have heard about, but when you see it in this format, it really opens your eyes. What is happening in digital around the world? Our world right now is almost 8 billion in population. Out of that 8 billion, 70%, almost 67%, means 5.19 billion people are already on mobile phones, means digitally connected. And more than 4.5 billion people are internet users. And almost 4 billion people, which is around 50% of the world population, is active on social media. Now that should tell you how fast the world is changing towards digital revolution. Next is the speed. First we talked about how many people are connected. Next is the speed with which people are connected. Earlier, if you remember, a few years back, we had very slow connection. Anything took a couple of minutes to open. Today, almost 50 Mbps is very normal. I am right now taking this webinar from home and my internet connection is also 50 Mbps. And we feel it is very fast. We can see Netflix and we can see Amazon Prime just live telecast, almost like we are watching TV. That is the speed of internet now. But very soon we will have 100 Gbps, gigabytes per second. So can you imagine what will happen when that kind of speed connects with more than half the population of the earth? We have to really stretch our imagination to understand the impact. What is it giving birth to is cloud computing. Even today when we are connected through Microsoft Teams, it is cloud computing. And that means that no longer hardware is the main constraint for somebody. Just having a good internet connection and a smartphone, that also very cheap, 10,000 or less, also is giving you very good computing power. And you are connected to the whole world of services and products. That is what cloud computing is doing. And what is happening when all these things connect? And that is what I call data-driven decisions. These are all words that computer science people may know, but I think it is mandatory that all engineering faculty should know this because it is going to impact everything. It is already impacting, but more so as we move faster speeds and more connectivity. I am not going deep into it. Just the buzzwords, if you are taking notes, you can automatically do Google search and find more about it. But in a nutshell, it means that when a lot of data is available, you can analyze the data to create intelligence. And from that, you can get to very good decisions. Now, what does this have to do with construction? Construction, everybody knows, is a very physical industry. And it is the second largest employer after agriculture and also the second last in adoption of technology. But you will be surprised that even in construction, digital has penetrated to a very, very deep level. And my today's presentation is focused on what we have created in my company. The name is Specified Technologies Private Limited, and our guiding principle is progressive precision to perfection. Means small steps we take to increase our precision, eventually we will reach towards perfection. And this photograph really inspires us because I have a saying that when a human eye can see stars which are light years away, means God has given us the vision to see so far, then our mind can also go and achieve things which are far beyond what we believe is capable. What is our goal? This is a Bhag means big, hairy, audacious goal, a goal which is so big that you really lose your sleep trying to achieve it. So our Bhag or massive transformative purpose is to save billions annually by reducing rework and waste. What it means that there is a study by McKinsey, which is a very reputed world knowledge consultant. Every year, $10 trillion worth of construction happens in this world. India has around 1 trillion, 1/10 of that. And 15 to 20% of that goes in waste because of inefficiency, either because of rework, because quality was bad, you have to do again, or because of time waste. So just imagine that when technology starts making an impact and data driven decisions are made, how much of that can be reduced? So that is what we want to contribute towards, to reduce the rework and waste and save billions. How do we want to do that? So there are two parts. First is to improve and the second is to innovate. And my today's presentation is on the first part because that is something we have already achieved. When I say improve, it means whatever is happening today, we are digitizing it and making it better. And what is innovation is we take it to the next level by using data driven decision, using artificial intelligence and machine learning. What have we done so far? We have already gotten a lot of awards, although we are only 1.5 year old company, but we have received pitch battle awards. We have been the semi-finalist in Europe's most reputed competition called Built World. We were semi-finalist in Silicon Valley, USA's competition by Corpgenie. CIA in India gave us a booth in Exxon. And we also got Amazon credits from Merck Innovation. We won that competition. Lot of reputed companies like HCP, Sangini, Ambuja Neotia, DCS, Amba have already started using it and are taking the benefits. Just for your information, HCP is the same company that is responsible for the new Parliament House under construction. Now, why did we have to build it? We build this product because we believe that quality control on construction sites is a total mess. Inspections happen on the place where work is happening. But where do you think the reports are being filled? They are filled in the office, on the table. That also maybe at the end of the day. And sometimes where people are really lazy, just if somebody's senior is coming or some audit is coming, they will start filling up the reports. So you can imagine how much is it reflecting the reality. Another problem we saw was the person who is qualified to do the inspection, somebody else is doing on their behalf. Third, specifications are different for different projects. But because the form of the printing is same, almost it is like one form is used everywhere and so many things are irrelevant or not updated. Another thing is that site engineers generally have a little bit of a language problem when they are filling the reports. Another important problem, which if you have seen the construction process, there are different stages in which same item of construction is being inspected. But the reports of these are kept in different files. So if a problem occurs, how do you go back and check all of them? That is another big problem we are facing. And of course, the standard problem with paper-based inspection is that the file can get lost or can get damaged or stolen. Or when somebody is coming to do some scrutiny, somebody may hide it also. We also face a big problem of time lag. Let us say something went wrong and you have identified that in your paper report. But how much time does it take for the expert to actually get that paper report to do anything about it? Sometimes it never happens, and sometimes it takes at least a week. And when that happens, how do you evaluate or how do you analyze why are things failing? What are the areas where improvement can be done? It's not possible because paper-based reports cannot be analyzed. Let us look at the problems on a management level. From a management standpoint, they are not on the job sites, they are in their offices. So what kind of report do they get where quality is highlighted? You will be surprised, very few organizations have something like that. Of course, for cost and time, they have very good reporting system because cost can be measured in the budget versus actual spent, and time you can schedule that what date what was supposed to happen and what really happened. But for quality, unfortunately, nothing much is available. Then from the uh, even the reports that they get in a summarized way, how much is authentic is a big question. Similarly, the timeliness of retrieval, ability to do quality audit, specific accountability, who was responsible for the work to fix that, and the realization always on an executive level is that the cost of bad quality is far more than the money that you will spend to ensure or assure the quality. Another important thing is that whenever we make decisions to give the work for what we call the contract, award of contract, generally cost data is available because everybody gives a financial bid. There is currently not a very good method available where you can even compare the quality. So it is always L1. There is no concept of Q1, best in quality. And of course, as I said in the earlier slide also, analysis of failure takes time because the data is not available. So these were some of the issues that management level face. Now let us look at the problems faced on the site level. As I said earlier, same standard checklist for every site. Time taking. When you do the inspection on the job site, again, when you are in your office, you have to fill the paper report. So double the time goes. When there is a billing and you want to hold back some amount because of bad quality, document availability or the exact item that you want to hold is not available. So these are some of the things that happen on the site level which are not efficient as far as QA QC is concerned. By the way, QA full form is quality assurance and QC full form is quality control. Now what we are doing, we call it the DigiQC way. So we have tried to solve all these problems. Inspections are done digitally on the job site in real time using smartphone. By fingerprint and now recently with face scanning, only authorized person can use the application and hence the person is qualified, then only they can do it. Total customization of all the checklist. So no standard for every site. Every project can have its own checklist based on their specification. Remarks that are being put in can have photograph and can even have voice recording. All the stages of inspection stay connected because now they are digital. There is no separate files. Everything is on the cloud. And when that happens, it is very fast to retrieve it and search it. Even after many years, you can just search it by just like you search in Google. And if there is a failure, a notification goes to the relevant expert immediately and they can take action. With dashboard, we have analytics and that can give the indication of how to improve quality because you will get the trend of what is failing more often. And it is tamper proof, means nobody can delete the record that has already been created. So it is uncircumventable. No fraud can happen. And especially in the times of COVID, a lot of people are not able to travel. So in DigiQC, we even have an approval feature where somebody in any part of the world can do remote approval. So that is the way we have solved it. Now the question comes, why now? Some of it was answered in my presentation on the digital age, but we have to also realize the demographics. Smartphones have reached everyone on the job site. Gen Z means those people who were born in the 2000s. They are now turning 20. So they are all going to be on the job sites very soon. Some of them may have already joined. Those who did diploma have already joined, and those who are in the bachelor program will be joining in 2 years. So they are the largest and most tech savvy generation that we have ever seen. Now they won't work on the paper checklist. They expect and want to have some high-tech ways of doing work. As I said, data speed has increased, the cost of cloud computing has gone down, smartphones have become affordable. Our DigiQC has been tested on even 6,000 rupees smartphone. Only 2 GB RAM and 32 GB space That phone is available for 6,000. Even in that, DigiQC is working remarkably well. Also, the realization that in projects, cost and time were always having softwares to control them. Then why should quality be behind? That is the next frontier. Now you have also seen that the complexity of the projects, the size of the project and the distance of the projects has increased substantially. But the people with experience, the one with the knowledge and the wisdom, they have not increased. So digital also helps to multiply their efforts by having them sit centrally in one location, digitally connected with several job sites, and the site engineers, the ones who are the Gen Z joining the workforce, through the digital connection become their eyes, and then they are able to work as a team much better and do much better execution. So this is what we call connected QA/QC. In this diagram, you can see that the software DigiQC is hosted in the cloud, but all the people involved, like the executive, the manager, and the site engineer, they are connected to the same cloud and are able to take benefit of the real-time quality control and assurance methods. The fourth one, which we recently added, is remote approval. Means sometimes experts like structure engineer or architect or some other expert may be not always available for a project. So wherever they are, they can give their approval. I will request Professor Darshan to please play a small video which is on the website, so you get a concept of how this is connected QA/QC. I will
Yes, sir.
stop my presentation, right?
Yes. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Darshan bhai.
Oh, wait.
So due to technology, I was not able to present the video, so Darshan bhai is doing it for me.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Darshan bhai.
Now I'm playing this video.
Reputation is built on quality. I need a dashboard on quality metrics across all of our projects. I wish quality records were searchable and help me identify problems to improve execution methods. My presence on the job site makes the difference. I wish I could do my inspection reports in real time, rather than at the site office.
In order to improve quality and process now, you have a simple cloud-based software solution, DigiQC. With DigiQC mobile app, the QA/QC data is entered by engineer at the job site in real time. He can easily use the workflow checklist set up by the project manager as per the specifications, while senior executives get dashboards across all their projects. DigiQC provides data analytics to identify problem areas, to focus your time and attention to improve quality.
No more paper forms. DigiQC is great. Customization, accountability, searchable, and analytics? DigiQC is what I need. Keeping tab on quality on all projects on my screen? Let's get DigiQC.
Sign up now on digiqc.com.
Thank you, Darshan bhai. I'll take the Darshan bhai. Yeah, I will start sharing now. So I hope till now you have got a good understanding on what I am presenting. I will request if somebody has any questions, then please ask me before I go forward, because now it will become technical about how we are solving these problems. So does anyone have any questions? You can unmute and just ask. Hello. Darshan bhai, I am not able to see the chat when I am presenting. So if there is any question written on the chat, please let me know.
Sir, as of now, there are no question in the chat box.
Okay, so let me keep
So
going
we,
forward.
so we can keep the question answer session at the end.
All right, thank you.
Uh, uh.
So I hope you got a good idea about how one simple solution can help people get connected throughout the organization for the purpose of quality. And isn't it surprising that nobody had come up with this idea so far? And that is why when as a construction professional, I faced this problem and I could not find a solution. I had to build it myself. And when I build it, I realized that other companies also need the same solution. And that is when the company was created, which is in the words of startup is called B2B SaaS company, means business to business software as a service company. And that is what Specify is. Now, let us deep dive into the issues that are solved by DigiQC one by one. You got a very good idea about the reasons. Now we go little deep. First issue, on-site checking and off-site paperwork. Now, not only is the time spent double, but there is mix up that happens. For those of you who have gone to construction sites or your students have gone, you must have observed that when a supervisor or a construction engineer is going on the job site, they don't see only one thing. They see many things, they inspect many things, they give many instructions. And if there is any documentation that needs to be done, they come back to their site office. We call it construction trailer. And during lunchtime, they may create the paperwork regarding to that, or at the end of the day, they do it. So there is a big chance that they forgot to whom what they gave instruction or which item they had passed and which item they had failed. And it can backfire also. But when you do the same thing in real time, means when you are doing the site inspection at the same time you put it in your smartphone, not only do you save the time of doing it on paper later on, but also you don't have to rely on your memory. You put it there and then you are done. So that makes it a real time digitally saved quality control. Second issue, as I had identified earlier, that junior people or not relevant people, just because they are available or their boss is lazy, go and do the inspections on their behalf when they are not even authorized or qualified to do that. So how do you avoid that? So what we did is that generally smartphone have a unlock feature. Now generally unlock is either password or a pattern, but that can be given to another person also. So the biometric was the only way to ensure that the user is the same as the one who is authorized. And that is why we created this authorization system. As I said, every project specification is different. So the checklist would also be different. Now with DigiQC, the web panel can create the custom checklist and the time is saved because when you are using a standard checklist, the number of points are much more than what is required. So again, your time is saved. We saw the problems with paper-based versus digital. Now this diagram represents that even though the data is collected on site or input on site along with the photo and other things, it is all available in the cloud and the analysis can be done by the senior engineers on their laptops. And there can be no loss because it is all backed up. Analytics. If the same inspection keeps on failing on different sites, then when it is on paper, nobody can see the connection or the trend. But when it is digitized, you can see the trends. You can see, oh, how come this is happening? Can I go deep and find out the reasons? And then you can go and club all the failures of the same type together, find what are the common elements. It could sometimes be the weather. If it is in very cold weather, maybe that is why the strength is not gained. Or it could be the material. If there is a correlation that wherever there is a failure, one particular type of material is used. So you can identify the root cause. But that is only possible when you can do data analytics. And with digital, you are able to do that. Then, as soon as a failure happens on site, you get the notice to the expert in real time and can tell them to give the remedy in real time. That saves a lot of money and time in doing remedy when the time has passed, because a lot of things would have already happened by then. So real time remedy saves a lot of money. Photo and audio remarks. Now in today's day and age, paper-based checklist doesn't have any record of what was on the site in real. But when it is digital through the smartphone, you attach the photograph of the item and you can even write comments on it. That way, anybody can see the report even many years from the time and still get an idea how accurately the communication was and how much good the quality control was. And why the audio remark? Audio remark because of the language barrier. Sometimes the person who is doing the inspection is not that very much conversant with English, which is generally what the paper forms require. So they can record in their vernacular, and the audio clip gets attached to the report, and the person who is listening can then convert it into whichever language they want. And very soon auto conversion is also coming, which is called conversational AI, which we will incorporate little bit later on. But right now it is saving the hassle of communication. Stage-wise inspection. As I explained earlier also, in every element there is pre, during, post and sometimes testing. Let us take example of RCC. Before the concreting is done, there is checking of the shuttering, there is checking of the steel, there is making sure that all the material is available on site of the right quality. That is all that has to be checked before the work is done, which means RCC casting is done. So that becomes a pre-checklist. What is during checklist? During means when the work is actually happening. And that time, what are the things that they take? They look at the slump, they look at the proper vibration, they record the weather conditions, all those things that are happening at the time, water cement ratio, all those things they are looking when RCC is happening. What is post? Post means after de-shuttering. So they see whether there is any honeycombing, whether the surface is even, is there any cracking in that? And then of course the strength test when the cubes are tested. So you see in the same item of construction, minimum 4 number of stages are there. But when you are doing on paper and there are different days when this is happening, it all gets filed as per date and you cannot connect the stages together. And when you do it digitally, it all stays together and you cannot miss the other stage. Now let us go deep into how is it being delivered. So there are two parts to DigiQC. As the diagram shown earlier, there were executive and manager users, and then there were the site inspection users. So the ones who are the executives and the managers, they are using the web. So it is a browser. Any Chrome browser or Firefox or Microsoft, any browser will open the DigiQC app on their browser. And what is it used for? It is used for setup, monitoring and analysis. And the mobile phone is basically for the site inspector, the ones engineers who are controlling the site. They are using the inspections on their site. On the web, what do? You do analytics. For example, you can analyze as per the data collected for all the users, all the agencies, the contractors or the material supplier, or as per project. You can filter the data. When you monitor, you can see the trends. And you can obviously set up, means you set up your checklist, you assign the rights to the users. So these are the things that are done on the web. Now we look at how it looks. These are just some screenshots which gives you an idea about what does the web platform look like. So why we want to have a dashboard is basically because you can compare the quality across the projects. You can compare quality generated by 2 different contractors. That way you will know next time who I should give the work. And of course the decision making improves. So this is a quick screenshot which shows you project wise how things are looking, user wise how things are looking, agency wise how things are looking. And this helps to make quality little bit measurable. Just like we were able to measure time in hours or days or cost in rupees, similarly quality we are able to measure by fail ratio, which means out of every 100 inspections, how many are failing. That gives an indicator about the uh, person who is generating this quality. Similarly, we have monitoring. So each and every inspection that is done is available as an inspection log on the cloud server. You can search and go into it. You can see what failed, what passed, what was the root cause of it. And by doing this kind of analysis, you are able to improve the quality next time because you identified the constraints, the problems where it was having an issue. Then of course, whenever there is a system, there are reports. So in report, because it is tamper proof, nobody can go back and change the report. When it is paper based, sometimes you can just take out the old paper and put in new paper. But now in digital, it is not possible. It is tamper proof. So no blame game can happen. You can't, because there is authenticity built in by the notification, by the authentication. Everybody knows who did what. So all the reports become very relevant. They are real time. So there is a meaning to these reports now. So the web is also used for setup. So what is the setup? The setup is basically to customize. You can assign the rights to users. For example, on a construction site, there may be electrical engineer who is responsible for all the wiring and the panels. And then there may be civil engineer who is responsible for all the RCC work. And let us say there is another engineer, let us say HVAC engineer, who is more responsible for the ducting and equipment installation. Now, should the HVAC engineer do checking of the RCC? No, because they are qualified for other things. So when we are setting up, we give the user rights. What are the type of inspection which is allowed by which type of user? That way, you are making sure that the inspection is also done by the right people, and by customizing the checklist, it is done in the right way. We use the system which is called element of quality control, means EQC. What does it mean? It means that any element which is being built at one time by one agency. Very simple definition. It is by the RCC contractor. So it is a EQC. And if suppose 10 columns are being cast on the same day, then all 10 are in the same EQC. Similarly, plumbing, let us say there is pressure testing happening in some plumbing, that is one EQC because one agency is involved and it is happening at one time. So what happens in a EQC? You can define the stages of work. If you see the dashboard, the screenshot that has been presented here, you will see that different stages can be added into it. You can have pre, during, post, like that. And for each stage, you can have different questions where the checkpoints are given. You can decide where you have to give the photograph, where you have to give the remark, means it is mandatory or not mandatory. Like that, you are able to customize it. And then you can obviously set up the notification. Who gets notified when a failure happens in this type of work? So again, just like we identified the user, we identified the expert. Hello, I think there is somebody has unmuted themselves. Hello, please mute. So what happens, just like we identified which users are able to do what inspections, similarly we are giving the experts. So if it is a RCC EQC, then the structural engineer will get the failure notice. If pressure testing of plumbing failed, then the plumbing consultant will get the remedy. That way you are able to map it out. Now let us look at the mobile application. Till now I was showing the web application. On the mobile application, as I said, it is for the people doing the inspection. So it is kept very simple. See, we have to understand that the site engineers are out in the open, in the sun, in the dust. Sometimes in excavation they are going down. So the interface has to be so simple that they don't have to look at too many things on their phone. Very few buttons and very few things they have to do at one screen. So most important thing is to give the address. What are they inspecting? Then, of course, they have identification, whether they are authorized to do that inspection or not authorized to give that inspection. Then there is the inspection witness. Sometimes there is a requirement that when you are doing a very critical inspection, there has to be somebody from the client side or from the consultant side, or even within the company, somebody senior should be there. So that photograph can be placed in, which will make the inspector also accountable, but also the person who was witness accountable. And then sometimes there is drawings that need to be referred. So you can take photograph of the drawing which has a title block where there is the date of the drawing written, the drawing number written. That way the person who is doing the inspection now has to keep the drawing on the site. One of the biggest problem we are faced in construction, practical problem, is people go on the job site but they don't have the drawing. Now with this requirement, there is no way around it. If they don't take photograph of the title block, they will not be able to do the inspection. So they are now forced to keep the drawing on the site. And second thing, it has to be the most current drawing, not old drawing. So the latest detail is available for doing the inspection. So this we call a psychological hack. It is something that the computer is making mandatory, but what it does is affects the behavior of the user and makes it better and more quality conscious. Audio remarks, as I told you, that vernacular language is a better way of communicating emotions. Let us say in English you are writing, plum is out, I am giving rejection. Now that is an unemotional kind of a thing. Sometimes the person who is doing the inspection is not that good in writing in English. By just holding the audio button, they can write, Olambama nathi, fail karun chu. Which is basically the same thing, but now you heard his emotion that it was not proper what was happening. So we get a little bit insight into what was the reality at that time. Also in construction, there are many vernacular words which have no translation in English. Those who have got into real construction sites must have heard words like shikanja, dada, thaya, gabda. All these words have no translation in English. So how does somebody make report in that? So audio becomes the answer. Photo feature. Now, when I showed you the setup, you saw that we can make photograph mandatory for certain items. Why? Because a picture talks 1,000 words. Somebody had made that saying. By looking at a photograph, quickly you understand the context. No English writing can make it so clear as a photograph. So when you use the photograph in the report, and you can even mark it up just the way we are showing on the example, it is very clear to the person who is reading. And the best part is the photograph can be taken only from the camera which is within the application. Means nobody can attach a previous photograph. That way it is becoming more authentic. Of course, remarks are sometimes necessary. So you can write down what is mandatory, whether it is remarks, whether it is photograph. Sometimes it is not important to do that inspection. I think somebody has unmuted by mistake. Can you please go on mute? So what happens, you can skip also, as I am showing in this button. And then there is another important feature which is called the I button or information icon. So this can be used for training. Somebody is new and doing the inspection, or you want to give them some tips. For example, cover in RCC is something that keeps changing. You know, sometimes it is 25 mm for the top of the slab, sometimes it is 35 mm for the side of the beam, sometimes it is 50 mm in the foundation. So you can give some tips like this in the I button. So while doing inspection, they can access. Even link to YouTube video of good practice or such things can be added. Pause EQC. This is a feature that is given because sometimes the work of inspection is very long, or you want to give another chance to the contractor to make amendments to what they have done rather than fail it. So in that case, you can pause the EQC and say, hardly 2 points in your checklist are not acceptable. Why don't I give you 20 minutes to rectify it and come back and then approve it after you have completed the work perfectly. That way the record of the contractor will also not get tarnished because of the failure, and that way the relationship also will increase between the site engineer and the contractor, and ultimately we want quality to improve, and that would also happen. And other than that, sometimes the process is so long, like when there is during RCC work, so there is a starting point and there is an ending point, and sometimes it goes for many hours. So obviously we don't want to just stay there and not do other inspections. So you can pause, do other inspections and come back when it is completion time. Before you submit the inspection report, there is a preview screen just for you to revise that what you wrote is accurately depicting the inspection. And then you can hit either pass. Right now the example is given of pass because everything was correct. So you hit the green button and it becomes QC pass. Otherwise, if something was wrong, it would have been a red button, which would have been QC fail. And then this record goes to the server, and you have to select which agency was doing the work so that the database can connect in the right way and you can do data analytics later on. You can even download the report on the phone as a PDF file if you want to share it over WhatsApp or email instantly. Otherwise, on the web server, it is always available, but this also helps the site team to make use of their inspection if it is a document which is supposed to be used before the next stage is done. Now, this is the feature which really helped a lot of our users during the COVID time. This is called remote approval. You must be aware that a lot of times the experts are in different location. Architect could be in a foreign country, structural engineer could be in a different city, or the site itself is in a different location. So all these experts who are involved, how will they give approval if every time a critical inspection is there and they have to travel? Just imagine how much money and how much time is spent in their traveling, staying in hotel, and just for 2-3 hours of inspection they have to spend 2 days. So by remote approval, the inspection is done by the qualified guy on the job site, but rather than him giving the QC pass, it goes as a seek approval to the remote approval person. The remote approval person gets it in an email, which is unique to that person. On the email, they can see all the data that has been given by the inspector. If they are satisfied, they will approve QC pass. If they are not satisfied, they will put in their remarks where they feel that more inspection should be done or some changes are required, and they will hit the redo button. With the redo button, again the inspection has to be done after making the changes that have been recommended. So by this simple thing, you can see how much time and effort is saved by having the expert connect with the construction site in real time remotely. Now we all know quality. If we don't measure quality, we cannot manage it. We cannot control it. We cannot improve it. And ultimately we lose reputation. Our promise is that you can measure, you can manage, you can control, and you can improve the quality. That is what we are here for. And what is coming next? Very soon, all the data that is being collected through various inspections will be correlated. And as I explained to you in the digital era slide, data analysis will give birth to artificial intelligence. And the person on the job site, the site engineer, will get AI assist, means artificial intelligence assistant. And that will say that based on the observation that has been done on the job site, what level of confidence is in our intelligence that has been created by previous data to pass it or to fail it. The example that you are seeing here is of a crack. Now we all know that there are so many different types of cracks. So when all the data of cracks is correlated, we come to a conclusion of what is the confidence of our computer, means our artificial intelligence, that it should be failed or it should be passed. Sometimes even the remedy can be given based on the previous records that we have created. Ultimately, the decision will be of the site engineer because every project situation is unique, but at least they will get the advantage of previous historical intelligence that has been gathered through so many construction sites and similar problems faced in other areas. That is what we call prediction within the app. The second one is live prediction, which is the middle photograph, where just by pointing at the image, the crack is identified. And all this goes into our web panel with the level of confidence so that when an audit happens, we can improve it the next time. So that is coming soon. That is end of my presentation. This is just a slide where we want to highlight that our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has given a lot of impetus on technology startups. These are his words, which says, I see startups, technology and innovation as exciting and effective instruments for India's transformation. You must be aware that a lot of these schemes are coming, even in the colleges. I think it is called SSIP or something. And I think as faculty members, it is really very important that you encourage the students to get out of the coursework and the textbook knowledge and explore in the world of technology and innovation. What problem can they solve, which will help our country become even better, solve the problem of common people. A lot of these programs are available online, like Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, Skill India. All this is happening and we can take advantage of it. That is how this company was also created, which is called Specified Technologies Private Limited. And we created the product DigiQC, of which I have given you the presentation. So I would really request, if you have any questions, please ask them, as I really wanted this to be more of an interactive session and more exchange of ideas than just one-way traffic. So please ask me anything that you would like, not only about QA, QC or digitization, but anything else that comes to your mind based on my background. Thank you.
Thank you, Suman Bhai, for your interactive and informative session. So one of the question in the chat box, full form of EQC.
Yes, thank you. That is a very good question. I'll just shut off my sharing of computer. Okay. So EQC means element of quality control. So that is the full form. And the definition is any item of work which is done at one time by one agency becomes a EQC. So that when you are doing an inspection, there is accountable agency is one and the work is also one. That is the purpose of having this digitization, because the data will get sorted in the way that we can analyze it later.
Any other questions from the participants?
So if there is no question, I want to share something. Just give me a 1 minute. This is out of today's agenda, but very relevant to education in today's times, and also very relevant to how digital is impacting everything. Just give me 1 minute. I'm pulling it up and then I'll share it with you. But if there are any questions, please ask them.
Suman Bhai, one question.
Yes, sir.
As you said that we can pass that QC from the application, okay?
Yes.
So now if we want the whole report, So how that report can be generated from that particular application?
There is a download button after you have
Okay.
completed the inspection. You
Okay.
get a download button and you
Hmm.
can download the whole report as a PDF, and
Okay.
that you can send it to anybody through WhatsApp or email or anything. And
Hmm.
same thing is also available online also. It is not that it is only in the app. Even online you can download the buttons.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you, sir.
I have
So
one question. I have one
yes,
question,
please,
and the
please,
question
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
we when we look into the site, the one very pertinent thing is the bar bending thing. So we get the rods in different lengths, and we see that there is a lot of wastages. Like, the best of the bar bending we do, there's a lot of wastages, and how can we use the system of yours to control these wastages and minimize the costing?
Yeah, thanks for this question. May
Yeah.
I know who is speaking?
My name is Helena Sengupta.
All right, ma'am, very good question, and it ties back into our philosophy of when we do things right the first time, wastage is definitely reduced. So first of all, bar bending schedule itself has become an art. Not many people I have experienced coming out of college are able to do that, instantly. So optimization of bar bending is a what I call planning job, where the schedule that is given by the structural engineer has to be correlated, and then they have to give the cutting lengths in such a way that you can implement it. So as far as the bar bending schedule is concerned, it is not a problem that is of quality implementation at the job site. So there is no formula within DGQC to solve that. But if somebody creates the framework that, okay, what are the things that have to be done in which sequence to avoid the problem, it can be done. I will give you a small example from my previous experience. When I was starting my career, I was in Gammon India Limited. At that time, it was a very big company. Just like today, L&T is a large company. And there we had a very strict discipline that whenever we are giving the bar cutting schedule, we not only have to give the cut schedule of the bar that is to be used, but we have to also keep track of the remainder piece which is getting cut. For example, the building we were doing was very large, so it has 32 bars. So you can imagine the cost of that. So let us say that 2 meter piece was the residue. So we had to keep track of the 2 meter residue in such a way that it is not only physically kept in a separate space in the steel yard, but also on books it has to be identified as a item available for usage. So that next time we are doing a bar cutting schedule and there is an item of 2 meter or less than 2 meter of the same diameter, we know that it is already available and we don't cut a new bar for it. So this is a matter of how you do material management practice and optimization. DGQC directly doesn't have that facility as of today, but as I told you, we are only 1.5 years old in making this software, and I am a construction guy who has started a software company, so I am also trying to make it better and better. So such suggestions from people like you really help me a lot. Thanks for the question. Anybody else? All right, I wanted to show something because all of you are faculty members, and this is an opportunity to uh, highlight a few things. A few days back, when first of all, when I came to know I have to give a presentation, I did not know it is for faculty members. I thought it is student. When I came to know, I posted this on my LinkedIn profile, and I asked my LinkedIn people to tell me what should be my topic. Now, you will be surprised because topic was already fixed, but I still asked that. And reason is because I understand it is a huge responsibility for you to develop India's next professionals and leaders, but also for people like me who are invited to talk to you so that we can create new ideas that you can spread. So you can see that my question was, should I talk about quality consciousness which is how we manifested digitally is through DigiQC, or should we talk about empowering self-learning? You can see 72 people voted on this. Are you able to see the screen? Hello?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes.
So you
Yes,
can
sir.
see 74 people voted, out of which 61% said empowering self-learning and 39 said quality consciousness. And this post was viewed by more than 1500 people. Okay. Now, why am I sharing this with you? I will just give you my perspective, taking advantage of the extra time I got because not many questions are coming. So, first of all, I want to request your permission because this is something that may go against your beliefs. So, with folded hands, I am saying that take it with a pinch of salt. But I have been an entrepreneur for so many years and I was a good student also. So, a lot of my faculty members still remember me. But today, with the digital era, I really feel that the method of education has to become more about self learning than imposed learning. And we are now seeing, lectures and lectures are being given in the college, which is of the content that the students can get themselves from the best of the faculty in the world, from Stanford, Massachusetts Institute, IIT also has put their courses. So in that context, what is the role of faculty members like yourself who have been doing that for so many years? So for that, I have an idea I want to share with you. And before I do that, because unsolicited advice is poisonous, so I don't want to give unsolicited advice. I want to check your response right now using digital media. Even if 5 people say yes, we want to hear the idea, then only I will share. Otherwise, Darshan Bhai can take over. So please use the chat button and say yes, we want your idea, then only I will share. I am not seeing the chat. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I really bow down to your openness. So the idea is something that I have tried in the visit as a guest lecture. I go to, as I told you, not only to SS Gandhi, but to CEPT Ahmedabad also, and to Nirma also, and to MIT University, both campuses, Bombay, as well as this Noida. And everywhere I have started using a technique. And Darshan Bhai knows that because whenever he invites me, I use that technique with him also. And that is what I called the question technique. Question technique is basically before we give the lecture or before we give the knowledge, we make the student very curious about that, where they are now thirsty or hungry for the answer. Just like I checked with you whether you are curious or not, and so many people said yes, much more than the 5 that I wanted. I think more than 20 people responded. So why you responded? Because the question made you curious. That was the example I wanted to tell you. That if we ask question in a way where the curiosity of the student is instigated, or they get that feeling of knowing, then they will automatically go and read the chapter before you have to tell them, or they will go on Google and try to find example. Or sometimes the question that you can ask is based on practical thing, where you can say, can you go and talk to 3 people in the industry who are using the same knowledge in their day-to-day practice? Like the madam just now asked question about bar bending. If you ask question, can you go on 3 construction site and find out who is making the bar bending schedule, what is the format, and who is the one who is using that bar bending schedule to cut the steel? Just simple thing, in 20-30 minutes of site visit, anybody can find out. But this will give the curiosity to them. And that way they will become on self-learning mode, where they get a habit of grasping new information, evaluating it in themselves, and then when you are teaching, you will be so happy that the students have come prepared, the students actually want to learn what you are going to present, and you will also feel satisfaction. Maybe some of the things they bring to the class from their own exploration will even give you new idea and new information which may otherwise not be available to you. So that was my idea. And I am giving this from my personal experience in visiting lectures. So it is not that I have not tested this idea, just your quick response is validation of that. But why I am giving it is very simple reason that knowledge and the ability to grasp knowledge and use it in practical way is becoming more important today than only knowledge. And in the last 22 years since I graduated, I have seen how much fast things changing. Just quick joke. When I was a student in 9th standard, now my son is in 9th standard. So when I was in 9th standard, Pluto was part of solar system. Today's book says Pluto is not part of solar system. So how changing, simple things are changing. Nothing actually changed in solar system, but the definition changed. Knowledge changed. Similarly, in engineering also, some of the formula are changing. Material science is advancing so fast. 3D computing is coming in so fast. Lot of simulation techniques are coming so fast. It is very difficult to keep up with it. So the only way to teach or to prepare these students for the future is that make them curious people so they can find the answer themselves. If they have curiosity, you will help them get to where they want, but by giving birth to curiosity, you will train them for the rest of their lives. That is all from my side. I am very much available on LinkedIn, and I am very, you can see how much I use it for even making simple decisions. And my LinkedIn profile is Sumant Kachru. You can just Google it, LinkedIn, search it, and you will find me. I look forward to interacting with you. And I am, as I said, it is my passion to share and make it better for the students. So any one of you, even other than this program, FDP program, has any reason to interact with me, want to share your idea, or you have any good students you want to benefit from internship at my organizations or do thesis under me. By the way, I'm also guide for MET Noida campus and for CEPT. These two places thesis students come to me. So more than welcome. Of course, I can handle only so much. So I only take the topic which are also of interest to me. But even if the student comes, at least I will introduce to somebody in my network who may be interested in guiding. So feel free to be in touch with me. Thank you again. Anything from your side after sharing my idea, please ask the question. Hello.
Bolo, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I am done, Darshan bhai. If there are any questions, I can answer.
So any question from the participants?
I have given my personal website, which has got all the links to email also, my LinkedIn also, everything. Everything is there.
I had already shared your details. Once again, I'm copy paste.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And other than education, if anybody is interested in discussion on adventure, high altitude trekking, or life in general, even that I am available. So thank you very much. Again, you are the lighthouse and the guides of our future generation. I bow down to all of you in respect and look forward to interacting with you. Over and out from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sumant bhai, for the wonderful and interactive and the informative session. I hope that out of this